sing along, we'll put the words up on the slide there. And feel free to join in just some worship. Do whatever you want. Be comfortable. When my heart is overwhelmed, I will look to you alone. God, my rock, God, my rock, God, my rock. I will stand when others fall. You are faithful through it all. God, my rock, God, my rock, God, my rock. Oh, in the blessing, in the pain. Through it all, you've never failed me. You are the strength of my heart. You are the strength of my heart. And I can rely on you. Oh, I can rely on you. When I've struggled to believe you have not let go of me. God, my rock, God, my rock, God, my rock. Carried through the darkest storms, you have held me in your arms. God, my rock, God, my rock, God, my rock. Oh, in the blessing, in the pain. Through it all, you've never failed me. You are the strength of my heart. Oh, and you are the strength of my heart. And I can rely on you. Oh, I can rely on you. Oh, and you are the joy of my life. Yes, and you are the song in the night. And there is no one as true. Jesus, I trust in you. Oh, I do, yes. Oh, I trust in you. Oh, you're so worth trusting, Lord. Oh, I trust in you. And you are the strength of my heart. Oh, you are the strength of my heart. I can rely on you. Oh, yes, I can rely on you. You're the joy, and you are the joy of my life. Oh, and you are my song in the night. And there is no one as true. Jesus, I trust in you. Amen. Isn't he worth trusting? Wow. Gosh. Don't know where I'd be. I think a lot of us can say that. How about blessed be your name? We all know this one, huh? Wrong note. That one's better. Blessed be your name in the land that is plentiful, where your streams of abundance flow. Blessed be your name. Blessed be your name when I'm found in the desert place, though I walk through the wilderness. Blessed be your name. Oh, every blessing you pour out, I'll turn back to praise. When the darkness closes in, Lord, still I will say, oh, blessed be the name of the Lord. Blessed be your name. Blessed be the name of the Lord. Blessed be your glorious name. should be. Blessed be your name. Blessed be your name on the road, marked with suffering, though there's pain in the offering. Blessed be your name. And every blessing you pour out, I'll turn back to praise. When the darkness closes in, Lord, still I will sing. Oh, blessed be the name of the Lord. Blessed be your name. Blessed be the name of the Lord. Blessed be your glorious name. Oh, blessed be the name of the Lord. Blessed be your name. Blessed be the name of the Lord. Blessed be your glorious name. For you give and take away. Yes, you give and take away. My heart will choose to say, Lord, blessed be your name. Oh, 'cause you give and take away. Yes, you give and take away. Oh, my heart will choose to say, Lord, blessed be your name. Oh, blessed be the name of the Lord. Blessed be your name. Blessed be the name of the Lord. Blessed be your glorious name. Oh, blessed be the name of the Lord. Blessed be your name. Blessed be the name of the Lord. Blessed be your glorious name. Amen. Ready? Okay.
I'm not going to use the mic. I think everybody can hear me. I just want to welcome you guys. Thank you for coming out tonight. And for those of you that are a guest, thank you. We welcome you here. And yeah, just thank you so much. We welcome you. And really, you know, for those of you that maybe heard me a couple weeks ago say in service, up until 2 years ago when I was at Pregnancy Choices, I was just a very naive parent to what was out there, what our kids are exposed to through their peers, and you know, just really, I felt like I lived in a bubble. I still kind of do a little bit. I'm getting better. I'm getting better a little bit, but I've learned so much over the last 2 years of what they are exposed to, and just what they're being told by their friends, and what's true and what's not true, and just in society that we live in. And I really just want to share that. You know, it's not possible for all of you to come to work with me and hear everything that I'm hearing, so I thought it was just a good opportunity, something that was put on my heart well over a year ago, and just wanted to go through with it and just follow the Lord's leading. So these are 2 guest speakers. They'll come up and tell you a little bit about themselves, but I want to open us up in prayer real quick. Join me in prayer. Lord, I thank you that we can just come together in your name tonight. Lord, just open our eyes and ears, open our hearts to what you want us to learn tonight. For those of us that are in the process of raising our kids in a godly way, and for those who are involved in grandparents' lives, grandkids' lives, and we just all have an important role to play with kids now. And I just pray that we all take away something from tonight, that we learn something new, and that we turn to you. We pray for guidance and just raising our kids in a godly way, and just help us to just be educated tonight as to what you want us to take away, and help us to just ultimately be a light for Christ. In Jesus' name, amen. I'll welcome Yvonne up to the podium. She'll tell you a little bit about herself.
Am I ready? Okay. First of all, good evening. Thank you for coming. I'm so excited. I feel like this is right in my face, but that's okay. Probably because it is, huh? Okay, thank you. That's all. Yes, thank you. Thank you. Okay, so again, thank you all for coming. I think what we're going to chat about tonight is very important, probably something you've never done when you come to church. You said, let's see what we're going to talk about. Sex, really? At church? Okay. But it's important. It's important. I think we need to empower parents to, again, take back some of the power that the enemy, the world, is trying to take away from us. You have been given the privilege to be a parent. Each of you could probably close your eyes for 3 minutes and think of at least somebody that you know that wants to be a parent and right now are not able to do that. So you were chosen to parent and or grandparent for a reason. So there's purpose in your life. So we're just going to chat about some of those things that come against that. And again, learn how to take our power back. Again, my name is Yvonne Presley. Two of my favorite people in the world are with me tonight. One is my favorite husband of almost 33 years, hiding back there. And then he is accompanied by my favorite daughter, sitting beside him. I also have a favorite son, a favorite daughter by love, and a favorite grandson, and a favorite almost grandchild who's coming in April. That's going to be another boy, but that's okay. That's okay. I'm holding out for a girl. I'm holding out. I can do that. I'm used to kind of getting to know just a little bit about people that I chat with. So if you would indulge me and just maybe tell me your first name, if you're a parent and or grandparent, and pay attention. Tell me the age you were when you got your first cell phone. Snicker, no. So again, I'm Yvonne Presley. I'm a parent and grandparent, and I got my first cell phone September 12th, 2001. I remember it because it was the day after 9/11. Husband worked out of town and could not get a hold of me at work, and he said that will never happen again, and brought me a cell phone home from work that day. So, okay, I'm gonna start here and we'll just kind of weave our way back. How's that? First name.
Mom, do you remember?
She says she shouldn't have to remember. No.
I'm Rebecca. What else were we supposed to?
Parent or grandparent.
I'm a parent. I've got two girls that are 11 and 8. And I don't remember when I got my first cell phone.
So you were grown, would you say?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
I was grown.
I don't think it was after high school.
Okay, I got you. Hi.
Hey, so I'm Elaine. I am a mother and a grandmother.
Right.
And I don't even know, like, I'm old enough that I was probably 15 years ago. When did we start? No, I'm thinking about when probably my kids are. No, 20 years ago, right?
So,
Flip phone.
I'm 2001.
I don't know. Yeah, something like that.
Oh, good. Okay, how about here?
Trevor, he's got 2 kids, and sometime in college, I think I was in high school.
Okay, thanks.
Right, my name is Beth.
Hi, Beth.
Like you said, we have 2 kids. We have a 6-year-old daughter and a little red son.
Oh, all right then.
Don't you feel
Hello, I'm
special?
Beth. I have a 6-year-old daughter and we have a 6-year-old daughter and a 10-year-old son, and it was 2001, so I was like 24. Yeah.
Hi, I'm Jamie. I'm a
Jamie.
parent of 2 daughters, 10 and 7. And I remember getting my first cell phone as I drove off to college when I was 18, but that had a prepaid card on it for 5 minutes of just emergency only use.
I remember those.
And I
I'm Terry, and I'm the mother of 3 and grandmother of 5.
Wow.
And Jamie's my daughter, and I believe she had that emergency cell phone before I had one. So we gave it to her and said, but don't ever use it. You know?
Hi, I'm Joan.
Hi, Joan.
I'm a grandmother, and I probably got my first cell phone when I was in my late 50s, so a long time ago.
I'm Jill.
Hi, Jill.
And I'm married to Tom, and we
Hi,
have
Tom.
a blended family.
Wonderful.
And a cell phone, I'm thinking maybe at least 15 years, maybe 20. I was in a, older and never had them in school. But
I know that's right.
probably didn't have them then. It's been so long ago.
Exactly. You're making my point for me. Go ahead.
That was good, Jill. Okay, my name's Tom, and
Hi, Tom.
I'm a father of 3. We have 11 grandchildren, 9 grandchildren. And goodness gracious, I can remember in 1976, when I was in college, that one of the professors had a shoebox size phone. And we were down in southern Ohio, and I got to call from there back home, and it was, that was a thrill.
Absolutely.
But yeah, personally, I've flipped phones for 20 years or better with my work and everything.
Okay.
Okay.
Awesome. Thank you. Hey.
Mike,
Hi, Mike.
father of 3 girls, and my first phone was 2005.
All right. All right.
I'm Megan.
Hey, Megan.
So we have 3 girls. They're 12, 13, and 21. I think I was 20 or 21 when I had my first phone, but it had to stay in the glove box of the car and not come out unless I was in desperate need to use it. So.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I'm Jennifer, and
Jen.
I'm a mother of 2, a son and a daughter, and I was 21 when I had my first phone.
I'm Ken. We have 2 children, 11 and 8-year-old, boy and girl. First phone was 2000 or something like that, 20 years ago.
Okay. Awesome.
I'm Michael, 2 children, 1 grandchild. It had to be in the 90s when I got my phone.
I'm Anna. I'm not a parent or a grandparent. I think I got mine when I was 15, but I really don't
That's
remember.
about right. Yep.
Hello, I'm Steve. I have
Hi, Steve.
3 children, 36, 31, 27, and 4 grandchildren,
Wonderful.
ages from 12 down to 9 months.
Whoa. And your first phone? Okay.
First one probably 15 years ago.
Okay. Thank you.
You want me to go?
Executive privilege.
I'm Jody. We have 2 daughters and 4 grandchildren. And the first phone I remember is just like you're saying. Our daughter was a junior at Bowling Green, and she was leading a choir in Fremont. And that's just a long, straight, lonely road if you've ever been on it. And we felt, we don't want you out there with not being able to get a hold of anybody.
Exactly.
We didn't have phones, but we felt that she needed one. The first one I got, I know, was at work. It must have been late 80s somewhere. We had pagers first, and then you got the flip phones. Oh, we moved right along.
I remember.
Well, all right. I just remember Amy's, our daughter's cell phone, though. It was like this big battery pack, and it was so big, you know.
Huge. Exactly.
But, yeah. And it was only supposed to be used for emergencies, and that's what I thought that would always be. Yeah, right.
Yeah. Exactly.
My name's Mike. I have 4 kids, ages 10, 8, 8, and 5. And I think I got my first cell phone when I was about 16.
Nice. He's younger than us, everybody.
I'm Sandra, also have 4 kids, and I think I was 18. I think it was in college I got my first cell phone.
Okay. Okay.
I'm Mary.
Hi, Mary.
I've been trying to remember. I think it was around 2009, so maybe 10 years ago. I really didn't want one. so I waited, but now it's been a lifesaver. And I have 2 grandchildren I have 3 from 2 sons.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Gary.
Hi, Gary.
I have 7 grandkids, 5 of them are girls, and that's one of the reasons I'm here.
Girls rule.
The grandkids got me a flip phone about 4 years ago, and I still don't know how to work it. They keep wanting to upgrade me, but I said, no way. This new technology is a discrimination against old people.
I agree, and I appreciate your honesty.
I'm Joan, and I have 3 daughters, and I have 14 grandchildren. And we were talking about just the phone, and I know that it didn't have a camera on it.
I heard that.
We were just talking about that. And it was probably back in early 2000, maybe around in there.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
I'm Sandy, and Rebecca's my daughter, and I have 8 grandchildren, and I think my first cell phone was maybe 15 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Hi.
Hi, I'm Katie, and we have 2 sons. I think I got my first phone. I'm not going to tell you how old I was, but it was, I broke down on 21, and Mike said, that's it, you're getting a phone, because there's nothing there. And it was a flip phone in the late 90s. And very reluctantly, for those of you who don't have kids, we got our boys their phones at 13. And that scared, that's a scary thing.
Mm-hmm. Indeed. Okay. Well, I won't make the sound people share. Although I am curious, but I'll hold on. The reason I mentioned that is that my grandson, who will be 5 in May, his entire life, he has had this rectangle in front of him. His life has been recorded on it. I mean, so as soon as you put one up, even if you're not intending to do anything with him, he's ready. Yeah. And I say that to say that the young people of today are so connected digitally that some of us probably have no idea what they're doing, what they're connecting to, who they're connecting with, what they're doing. In my house, there's a rule that there are not televisions in bedrooms because I can't see what's going on in your bedroom. I need to know what you're doing. I'm one of those parents. Yeah, sorry. Actually, I make no apology because it's my house. But I wanted to tell you about a resource that some of you may be interested in. It's called The Boogeyman Exists, and he's in your child's back pocket. So if you have a child that has one of these, you probably need one of these. This book, the mom, who is the author, is unbelievable. I went to hear her in Columbus a couple years ago. She said that any person that her children come home and talk about, within 2 minutes, she has that person's whole profile. She knows where they live, the whole 9. I was like, I love that. I do. We live in a day where our children may go someplace and we have no idea who those people are. We don't know what goes on in their house, and sometimes if we knew, we would not let our children go. So I'm the one that's saying, find out. You need to know. You need to know, okay? So that's resource number 1. All right. Also want to just thank you for choosing to parent, to be parents, and then ultimately grandparents. The grand in front of parent is all about enjoying the second round. It's not as stressful as that first round was, where you were practicing and trying to figure things out. Now you know a little bit, you can kind of relax and build a relationship with a child that you couldn't do the first time. I'm also that parent that says, I'm not here to be your friend. That's me. We're not friends. I'm your parent. I'm going to tell you what you need to know, just so you know, okay? Parenting in 2020 is not easy. Newsflash, I know you didn't know it until I told you. I know. It's challenging, but parenting is the most important job you'll ever have for which there's little or no training. The most important job you'll ever have for which there is little or no training. Research says that no matter how your children act, what they say, they put more credence and value in what you say to them than their peers, than the media, or anyone else. Did you know that? Because you don't feel that at home, do you? You're like, she talking again? That's kind of what they give us, because I think they really want us to stop talking, but don't. It's your house. My house, my rules. Okay? But keep talking. But then there's a way to talk so they will listen, and to listen so they'll keep talking. All right? Again, we're not friends, but we have a relationship. I can trust you, and you can trust me. I'm that parent that would tell my children, you can blame me for anything. Anything that you know, I will clean your clock when you get home. Yeah, you can. I can't do that. My mom would just have a fit. Yeah, and I will. But you can blame me. I don't have a problem with that. I tell them, I am not afraid of your little friends. I'm not. And if you go somewhere and you feel stuck, something doesn't feel right, call me. I'm there in 5 minutes. Okay? That's part of that relationship building. Because maybe they didn't find out everything they needed to know before they left home. And then they got someplace and found out they were in a bad situation. Call me. I'm there. I am there. You are my favorite child. I have a favorite son and a favorite daughter. It worked out really well. Okay, so knowing that you have that much influence, what are you doing with your influence? Ooh, I heard a pin. Have you really thought about that? What messages are you giving to your children while they're at home with you? When you look at news, you listen to music, depressing as it is, movies, again, how much of that is giving the same message that you're giving? I love the fact that I have this opportunity when I'm among believers, people who are in relationship with Jesus Christ, which means our message from jump is already contrary to what the world is saying. But how are we saying it to our children? Are we really telling them what we need them to know? Telling them your expectations? Or are we just kind of letting them, whatever, and we'll wait till a crisis comes and then we'll figure out what to do? Why don't we try to get ahead of it and tell them what your expectation is? I know they go to church with you every Sunday, but newsflash, they don't hear what you hear. Half of them are not even paying attention while they're there. And you're coming from a place of experience, maturity, so you can kind of ignore the thoughts that might want to come. But they're kids. Ignoring is not a great skill that most of them have. So maybe 2 seconds they have the pastor or the youth pastor's attention, and then they're thinking about, well, what am I going to wear to school tomorrow? Okay. So they're gone already. They've zoned out. Then they'll come back in. So it's up to us as parents and grandparents to make sure we communicate with our children what it is we want them to know. So I had to tell mine, I'm expecting you to be a virgin when you marry. Now, you can say that V word to some kids, and they may not know what that means. It's not one that's used very often. And so most of us will go, well, you know, Mary was a virgin. The Virgin Mary. Y'all know her, right? Okay. But do our kids make that connection that Mary was actually chosen because she was a virgin, pure, unblemished, okay? What I have found in my conversations with many parents is that they're reluctant to have these conversations because maybe they didn't quite do it by the book themselves. And that's okay, because guess what? That's already done. It's behind us. We're looking at our future. So what are we going to do to make our futures better? A big part of that is communicating to our children that they need to delay, here comes the S word, sexual intimacy until they are in a committed marriage relationship. By show of quiet hands, I'm a former teacher, sorry. By raising a quiet hand, how many of you were told that when you were a teenager? Wow. Congrats to your moms. But look how many hands didn't go up. Do you see what I'm saying? So your moms, like a lot of moms and dads, you guys don't get off the hook, probably didn't say much of anything. They'll figure it out. Really? Really? Did you let them figure out how to tie their shoe? Did you let them figure out how to use the potty? Did you let them figure out which hole that food needed to go in? I'm pretty sure you instructed them. No, it goes right here. So how much more do we need to instruct them about matters about their bodies? I coordinate a program at Pregnancy Choices called Sold Out. And Sold Out goes into middle schools and high schools throughout Stark County, and we encourage young people, that's my word, we inform young people about making healthy choices and being in healthy relationships. We also know that many students have never seen a healthy relationship. They go by, again, what they see in the media. Okay, 5 seconds, I'm gonna give you 5 whole seconds. Think of a show that's on television now that has a healthy relationship. I'll wait. Anyone? I rest my case. Okay, so if they've never seen it, how are they going to model it? How are they going to mimic it? What they will end up doing is mimicking and modeling the craziness that they do see on television, unless you intervene and tell them what your expectation is. Tell them what you want them to see, what you want them to experience. I'm pretty sure no one woke up this morning and said, I really hope my daughter gets to experience a broken heart this week. No, you didn't think that. And you don't want it to happen. And when it does, you're going to try and be there to support them and pick up the pieces. But what if you can give her information to help her avoid that? So one of the things that Sold Out does is our curriculum is a sexual risk avoidance program. We're trying to avoid it, eliminate it. And the best way to do that, even according to the Center for Disease Control, is to delay sexual intimacy until you're in a committed marriage relationship. The CDC says that. I didn't make it up. I love it, but I didn't make it up. They realize that because young people having sex way too early, they couldn't even tell you what the definition is of the body parts that they used. So if I don't know what it is, why in the world am I trying to use it? Because peer pressure. Kids are tough. Kids are tough. They can make you feel like you have 6 heads and 27 fingers and the whole nine, because you're not doing what everyone else is doing. Another newsflash, everybody that says they're doing something is not necessarily. Our statistics show that 53% of teens are not sexually active. But even when we go into classrooms, those teens are the quietest in the room. Mostly because they want to kind of stay under the radar. I don't want everybody to know I'm not sexually active, because then they're going to feel, sometimes other boys will view that as a challenge. Oh, you're not having sex? Okay, we'll see about that. Give it your best shot. I'm ready for you. Okay. Another thing that we do in our program is we teach students how to say no, how to write a refusal, skills of that. Sometimes kids still don't like the word no. And so they will do almost anything to avoid hearing no. But sometimes there's a way to say no that you really mean what you say. And that person's going to walk away and go bother somebody else. So that comes down to self-esteem. Self-esteem is something that you can do as a parent. Let your child know that you value them, that they are smart, they're strong, they're independent, they're whatever words you want to use. But so that they go to school walking with their head up, back straight. Because the predators are always looking for the one walking with the head down, books like this, trying to not be seen. Let them see you. Be proud of who you are. But that comes from home, okay? Something else that we do when we talk about healthy relationships, and I brought a phone up here, okay, I'm good. When we talk about healthy relationships, we use the model of a house. Okay, so when you're building a house, the first thing you do is build your foundation. Thank you. And so we tell the young people that that foundation should be friendship. A lot of times we think love, but again, see, this is 2020 now. Back in the 60s, love would have been okay to say. But now, because love in 2020 is so physical, I don't want to start with love. I want to start with friendship. Because even, 33 years into our marriage, we're still best friends. We still talk about everything. But if we didn't have that foundation, 33 years, we might be like, see you, babe. Bye-bye. But that's where we started, so that's where we're building on. That's our foundation. And so we tell the young people that not only boyfriend-girlfriend relationships should start with friendship, but all of them. Someone doesn't become your best friend overnight. And if they did, you need to wonder, are they holding something over their head? How did that person get to be their best friend all of a sudden? It takes time to develop that type of a friendship. And so encourage your young people to do that. Take your time, get to know somebody. They can't be your best friend immediately. They can't, I'm sorry. Okay. So after the foundation of friendship, then we work on the sides of the house or the walls of the house. And those would be your commitment and communication. The C words, my favorites. I have a saying that I say all the time at work in my office, that communication solves every problem. Every problem. Think about that. It's one of the main reasons I cannot watch a soap opera. It just irritates me to no end when Susie's talking to Jack and can't tell the whole story. And I'm sitting there saying, now, if you just finished telling the whole thing, then the show would be over. But nobody tells the truth. Nobody tells the whole story. They tell what's going to work for their advantage. Don't do that. So I cannot watch soap operas. I just can't do it. But communication, talking about everything, anything, talking. So at home, you with your child, but also your child with the people that he or she interacts with. That communication is super important. And commitment, when we're now into a love relationship or working toward that end, that commitment piece allows you to, I'm gonna date myself, get rid of your black book. I got some people in my era here, okay. Because I'm committed. I don't need to still have so-and-so and so's phone number because I'm in a committed relationship. Again, they're not gonna see that on television. They're not gonna see that in the movies, the music, etc. So where are they gonna learn it if they don't learn it from you? Okay. So then we get to the top of the house, not the roof yet. So I'm just at the ceiling. So the ceiling I think of as marriage. We've spent time together, we've gotten to know each other. We're friends, we're committed, we're communicating, we're showing that we care about each other, we trust each other. We're good. Well, now let's get married. Shouldn't take 15 years to decide. It definitely shouldn't, okay. Then after we have the ceiling, which is marriage, we can go to the roof. Now we're ready to add sexual intimacy to this relationship. I did a diagram of this for a group, and when I put sex on the roof, one of the women raised her hand and she said, I've never had sex on the roof. Okay, so anyway. I told her she should try it. Anyway, did I say that out loud? Okay. So at this point, you're loving each other and you're just doing everything together, and life is good. Now you're ready to bring some decorations onto that house. You can put some windows up; those would be your children, the doors, and all that kind of stuff. I do all this drawing. Art is not my calling, so lucky for you, I'm not drawing today. But those are the trademarks of a healthy relationship. And again, if they don't see it, they're not going to know what that is. So we have to talk about it. Talk about it. One of the sources that I read said that you should spend about 1,000 hours with a person before you are ready to take that relationship to the next level. So if you go on a bowling date, say that's 4 hours, so you need 250 4-hour dates before you're ready to really move forward. Could you imagine that in 2020 when people meet in the morning and by the end of the day, they know everything about each other? It's crazy. Microwave society, everything is way too quick. This is your life you're talking about, or your child's life. Take the time to get to know who it is you're dealing with. I mean, you see, again, the news. How many times have you seen, what was that, last week, Drew Carey's situation? His ex-fiance? Too quick. Take your time. If this is the person you're going to spend the rest of your life with, you better take your time and get to know who they are. Talk to the people that know the person that know the person that know the person. Okay, you get what I'm saying. All right. So, I got to step away for a second. Hold on. So another thing that we do is we talk about relationships in terms of a wheel. So a good relationship or a healthy relationship, there should be some equality in there. He does not get to make all the decisions. I'm going to leave it alone. Okay, so some of the things, some of the earmarks of a good relationship is non-threatening behavior, respect. I'm sorry, I should have started with respect because that's my favorite. I need to respect me so that I know when you respect me. But if I don't have any respect for myself, I'll accept any behavior, any treatment. No. Again, these are our children. So we have to talk to them about what that looks like when someone respects you. They're not trying to overwhelm you. They're not trying to force you to do something you don't want to do. And I often think that many young women really were not looking for a sexual relationship. Male bash, give me 2 seconds. I think that is the time that most men have the best communication skills ever, is when they're trying to persuade someone to do something they don't want to do. They become the most, am I in trouble? The most professional orator. They are able to, off the top of their head, quote statistics and, blah, blah, blah. And no. No. So that respect is very important. So your child is going to learn how to respect themselves based on what you have shown them, what they see between mom and dad. Think about that. If mom makes all the decisions and dad's just like, yeah, oh, okay, whatever. It should be a balance. It should be a balance. Babe, what do you think about this? Okay. Yes or no, whatever. But have a conversation about it. They need to see how that works, and they're looking for you as the model. So that's respect, trust, and support. Trust and support. So if I want to start a new business, and I go home and I explain to Bay I want to start a new business, and he's like, no, that's not going to work. Really? We can't talk about it? No, he just shuts it down. What are we saying to our children? Honesty and accountability. Accountability is a big piece. Communication, my favorite. Independence and autonomy. We're together, but we don't have to be together 24/7. So I can spend time with a girlfriend if I want, or I can go and see my family. When I flip it over, you'll see why I'm saying those things. Shared responsibility, negotiation and fairness, and then non-threatening behavior. Those are the good things in a relationship. On the flip side, you can have an abusive relationship. And we teach them this. So it starts with blame and denial. If you didn't do this, I wouldn't have to hit you. Excuse me? Again, I'm not a child of the 2000s. Don't put your hands on me. You can say whatever you want to say, but don't put your hands on me, okay? But there are young women that grew up in somebody's house that got a message that if he really cares about me, he only hits me because he loves me. What? Okay. Economic. He controls all the money. I have to ask for money to get my hair done, get my nails done, get the things that I really need for the house. This is for our house. It's not just for me, it's for our house. But I have to go to you to get that. Okay, so we need to teach them about shared responsibility, joint checking accounts, conversation about money, finance. Because money is a trust issue. Okay, I'm not going. That's a whole nother day. That's another day. Physical, showing love, which does not include hitting me. Don't put your hands on me, I done told you. Okay, emotional. You don't do what I like, then I don't speak to you for a week. Really? Where do they do that? Okay. Isolation. I don't want you to spend time with anybody but me. Really? Signs of abuse, guys. Sexual abuse. I'm just going to leave that one out there. Control. Let's go back to this one for a second. Remember we were talking about this? Somebody sends you a text in all caps. Where are you? My dad lives at, you're not my dad. You don't need to know where I am every minute. This is before we're married, of course. You don't have the right to determine everything I do, every place I go, the people that I'm with. We do a thing called the 5 Eyes of Abuse, and that's kind of how we present it to the young people. And it's very powerful because we've had several students come to us afterwards and say, my boyfriend does that. I'll be out with my girlfriends and I'll have told him that I'm going so-and-so after work. And he sends a text in all caps, where are you? Because he thought she should have been with him. And because she's a sweetheart, she tells him, oh, I'm at Cracker Barrel. And 10, 15 minutes later, there he is at Cracker Barrel. And he's not smiling. And she, is trying to get away from her girlfriends because she can tell he's got that look on his face like he's about to explode. And when they get wherever they're going, he begins to tell her that, I didn't tell you. You could. I can't even get the sentence out because it just drives me up a wall. But some males think they can control every part of that female's life. And we all know that all abusers are not male, because there are women that have the same kind of mindset. It doesn't matter which sex you are. You cannot control that person. You don't have that right. But those are signs of abuse, and we need to watch. And the last one would be threats. You're actually threatening me. Okay, that's just me. I have a couple handouts as my time is winding down. That I may have enough for everybody. If I don't, you all know Rebecca. She can get you some more. Get some more for me. I have on the sheet a list of 40 developmental assets. These are things that, and it's specifically listed for young people between the ages of 12 and 18. Studies have shown that young people that have these 40 assets tend to be very successful. And so I thought it would be good for each of you to get some, or each household to have some, and think about how you can start to build these into your conversations and your activities within your house to allow your young people to be successful. Because successful young people don't get caught up in these negative situations, because they'll tell that person, you know what, this is not working. You need to go. Because trust me, it's better to be alone and alive. I'm leaving it there. Okay, so some of them are family support, caring neighborhood, school boundaries. Boundaries are a good thing. As a parent, you can impose those. So-and-so is not coming over here. They're not welcome in our house. So if that person's not welcome at your house, it should go without saying that you probably don't need to be at their house. Huh? Okay. Okay. Bonding to school. Young people that just don't want to go to school. We need to find out why. Is something going on? Is someone bothering them? What's really going on? So again, that's this sheet. On the back of this sheet are some movies that you can pull up on your computers which I'm sure all of you know how to use. If you don't, find somebody under 30 that can help you. Uh, uh, these are short films that were made by young people about issues that young people struggle with. Bullying. You know, and we had bullies when we were in school, but they weren't like these bullies. This is a whole nother level of, praying times, people, praying times. Drug abuse, dating abuse, cyberbullying. Again, research shows that most students or young people who don't want to go to school, it's because when they get out of school, they get on Facebook, and someone has put something on Facebook about what they had on, or what they look like, or that they don't like them. And it just blows out of control because it's social media. And then that next day, that child doesn't even want to go to school. And most time we're totally oblivious because we don't know. We're not connected. We're not friends. My daughter loves to talk about how I talk about friendship. I mean, Facebook. She'll say, Mommy, that's not right. And I'm like, well, you know what I mean. I don't have time for that lingo. But young people, that's their life. That's their lifeline. So they're on there all the time, and everything is simply not positive. And if they don't have you to filter it through, to say, I don't care what that person said. You are a beautiful young woman, or you are a strong young man, whatever. We have to make sure we have those relationships in place so that they will listen to what we say and not what the bullies are saying. So anyway, those are available to you. You might just, even when your child is not around, look at them. And if you think it's something that your child can benefit, or your grandchildren, I'm telling you, grandparents are a wonderful thing. Because you could say, Susie, come watch this with your grandma. I might not be able to get it hooked up right or whatever, and they'll just come on over and watch it. And they're only like 3 or 4 minutes long. They're not very long. They're on YouTube, and they'll feel like they're helping you out because you're so old you don't have a clue. And at the same time, you're able to impart something into them that can cause them to be successful. So we have to use whatever opportunities we have as grandparents. Okay. I'm trying to think. I think I am winding down. Oh, last part. Okay, so I made a comment earlier about the black book. So that meant some people were in my generation, because you knew what that was, a black book. When I was probably not even in my teens, at that time there were only 2 sexually transmitted diseases. Syphilis, gonorrhea, boom. That's it, only 2 I knew. Now, there are 25 to 30. And some of those have become so resistant to antibiotics because they're just so prevalent that there are super strains of those sexually transmitted diseases and or infections. We teach about that in our 4-day presentation when we go into the schools. And of course, the reason that we can do that is because our curriculum aligns with the state of Ohio health standards. So we're able to share that information. And of course, we find out that young people, of course, don't know what things are. And again, they don't take the time to do that kind of research, but they'll take the time to research something that's like totally crazy. Like, okay. Anyway, there are 3 types of sexually transmitted diseases. There are viral, bacterial, and protozoan. Viral all begin with the letter H, and once you have it, it's yours for life. Herpes, HIV, HPV, and the 4th one. For some reason, that 4th one never stays in my brain. It's weird. It's weird. Did I say HIV? HIV, herpes, HPV, hepatitis. Thank you. I know there's another H. But once you have them, you can be treated for them, but they're yours for life. And those are also the ones that people need to tell other people that they have before they're sexually intimate. How many do you think really do? Right. Because once I tell you, you're probably going to say, no thanks. So therefore, they're not going to tell you so that they can do what they want to do. And now you have a gift for life. Okay. Bacterial STDs can be treated, and they'll clear up. They can come back, but they will clear up. And so examples of those would be chlamydia, gonorrhea, syphilis, couple of PID, okay? And the third type, which are protozoan, which are bugs, lice. Lice like to be in warm places and burrow in. So that's kind of how they operate. And a person may or may not know that they have them and share them with another young person, and then they need to, of course, be treated. And again, they can come back as well, okay? I normally do a true and false on STDs just to see how much you already know. But if you're like me, most of us, we're like, you sit there with your mouth open like, oh, I didn't know that. But yeah, that information is available at the CDC website, Center for Disease Control, just so you know. But again, so I have one more thing to give you, and it's kind of a newsletter type thing, and it says Connected Parents, Healthy Youth. There's a relationship between how much you communicate and connect with your child and how well your child is going to do in life. And I'm going to read you this one little paragraph that says, teens want and need to talk to their parents about sex. Parents can overcome their discomfort and start talking about sex with their children. By serving as role models and using open communication, monitoring, discipline, and love, parents can help youth learn to make healthy sexual decisions. You can do that. So I'm encouraging you to take back your power and talk to your young people, your grandchildren. Let them know what your expectations are, because you want them to have the best possible life. Delay sexual intimacy until you're in a committed marriage relationship. I have a few other sources up here that if you want to, after the next part, you can look at 60 Things God Says About Sex, books like Waiting, Love, Dating, those kinds of things. These are available. Thank you so much. The last thing is we do give out bracelets to the students in the school. On the outside it says Healthy Relationships, sold out, and on the inside is our text number, and it is an anonymous text line that they can, after the presenters have been there for their 4 days, trust me, there are questions in their minds that they're like, I'm not going to raise my hand and let everybody know I don't know that. So they have the opportunity to text, usually me, with their questions, and then I can give them credible answers, correct answers to their questions and their inquiries. Any other thing? I'm not going to wait and ask questions now, right? Thank you so much for your time.
I forgot to mention earlier, as Yvonne's finishing up and Elaine comes up, if you think of any questions that you want to ask them, we'll have some time at the very end for some question and answers. Okay.
Hi, everybody. My check, I need to use like my laptop to keep myself on track, so that's why it's up here. I feel like I'm like shouting. Am I shouting? Okay. Okay. But I'm also a klutz, so I probably drop. Okay, thank you. See what I did? I barely touched it, right? This is how I roll.
Is that good?
Yes, yes. So my name's Elaine, and I work at Rehab Ministries. Anybody heard of Rehab before? Okay. And so just in case you haven't, we are a ministry that serves women and some young men and men that have been abused with sex trafficking, have had that happen in their life, or are currently in that life. And so a little bit about Rehab. We have it started like 17, 18 years ago. One woman felt a call from the Lord to just reach out to women on the streets that were prostituting, and he just gave her a real burden for them. And so she took a couple of people with her, and just I think it was monthly or every couple of weeks or so, she would just go out, talk to the women, ask if they wanted prayer, literally gave them her cell phone number if they needed help with anything. That grew into her going into the jails, speaking to women there. Then it moved on to having a place where the women can go to get off the streets, even if it was just for a few hours, for like a Bible study, a hot meal, that could close. So the drop-in center was established on Matthews Street in Akron, which is in a very highly trafficked, high drug activity neighborhood. Women would come in, get their physical needs met, because you really can't address other needs. Can't address the spiritual, can't address the emotional sometimes if you're just trying to survive and find something to eat. So the whole concept was, let's meet those physical needs, those practical felt needs, and then we're going to get to show them Jesus, whether we're verbalizing that with words or just showing them that by giving them that hot meal. So after that, it was a very evident that women that wanted to leave the life, leave those that were victimizing them, they needed a safe place to go to live and heal from the trauma. And so that's when the adult safe house opened. So 18 and over. I'm the director of the adult safe house, so that's where I work. The adult safe house has been open for 5 years. We opened up a house for minors a year ago. And the minor house houses girls ages 11 to their 18th birthday. So this is what Rehab does. We're all about reaching women that need to hear truth, and they need to know that love is a real thing, and that's in the person of Jesus, right? Not this counterfeit that they've been made to believe their whole lives. So that's a literal 5-minute, not even a 5-minute thing about Rehab. But I do want to talk, and I know this is like so heavy. So there is just no way to put a pretty little bow on human trafficking. There just isn't. I feel very, very strongly, as our ministry does, that it's so important to educate. And Yvonne did an amazing job of talking about like the role of a parent and the role of the church and a community to build relationship with our kids, because as you'll see in a minute, this is where we need to be. This is what's going to make a difference in kids' lives, to help prevent them being victimized when they become older. So I'll get into that in a second. I just want to explain what human trafficking is, what sex trafficking is. It's the recruitment, the harboring, the transportation, provision, obtaining, patronizing, or soliciting a person for the purpose of a commercial sex act, in which the sex act is induced by force, fraud, or coercion. And we're going to get into a lot more here soon. So, who's vulnerable? Who's vulnerable to human trafficking? We love our kids. We want to give them all of the things, do we not? This innocent little person comes into this world, and we want to give them emotional support. We want to give them love and security and meet their basic needs. That's how it was designed to be, right? And in a perfect world, and in a lot of our homes, that's what children get to have. There's a large population that doesn't get to grow up like that. So they're born into families where maybe mom is addicted to drugs, or dad, or maybe there is no drug activity, but maybe mom's a single mom working 2 or 3 jobs. She's not able to provide the emotional support for kids because she's just trying to make a living, you know. Maybe it's dad. Maybe dad's mom's not around and he's trying to do the same thing. So what's happening is there's neglect, whether it's intentioned or not. Little kids need to know that they're in a safe place. They need to know that there's a boundary, that there are rules, that there is somebody that loves them no matter what. And so if they don't have that, something starts to change a little bit in the way they think about themselves and how they feel about themselves. So that's just neglect, whether it's an emotional or physical abuse, emotional, physical, sexual abuse. Every single woman that has ever come into the adult safe house, which is 130, and the ones that have been to the minor house, every single one of them have had sexual abuse as a child or a teenager. That is happening in our homes. It's happening. And you can't look at somebody and say that person's being sexually abused. Like, there are indicators of behavior, of course. There are things to look for, and we will watch that. We will talk about that. But so just imagine a little girl or even a preteen. The first thing she learns when somebody lays their hand on them is that her body is not her own. She has no say and she has no value or worth. Like, so why would you think otherwise, right? So what that does is it makes you vulnerable. It makes you more vulnerable for somebody that's going to offer you something that you desperately have been wanting for as long as you can remember. Other vulnerabilities that have led to traffickers kind of being able to spot somebody a mile away, we'll get to that too. Any kind of mental illness in the family, any incarcerated relatives, substance abuse, physical abuse of mom, divorce. So, you know, a lot of these things are in a lot of families, right? Like, divorce is in my family. There's been other things in my family that are on this list. And the data that we've collected over the years, this is called the ACE factor. So it's the adverse childhood experience. And so all of these 10 things, that's kind of how we like score people that have had trauma in their past. And the 2 main things that have led to high vulnerability is sexual abuse and emotional neglect. So again, not getting their emotional needs met. Mom could love them with all her heart, but if she's not able to give them what they need, whether she doesn't know how or she's busy or whatever, and sexual abuse. Again, my body's not my own. I have no value. I have no worth. So those make a human being vulnerable to those that can then prey on you. Yvonne did a great job of kind of talking about, you mentioned a few times about people being able to spot a vulnerable person, and you did a good job of talking about that. And Yvonne would not be a person that a trafficker would go after. She's like, you touch me, and no. See, that is a perfect example of somebody, a trafficker. If there was a trafficker sitting in this room, he wouldn't even bother going over to her. He would go to the girl sitting over there that just has her head down and looks alone, maybe the one that's kind of off to herself, or the one that he could even have an interaction with, and she's just like talking negatively about herself. Oh, he could have her. And we're not talking about snatching and grabbing. We'll talk about that in a minute too. It's just giving her what she needs in that moment, and that's validation, right? So we're going to talk about what it looks like to identify what trafficking looks like. I do want to talk super quick. Hold on, let me check something out here. Okay, let me talk really, really quickly about what it looks like, how the traffickers kind of entice their victims. So there are different methods. There's like the gorilla, which is like literally the snatching. And of course, we ask this question all the time, who's seen the movie Taken? Everybody's seen the movie Taken. That's not what trafficking looks like in the United States of America. We're not saying it doesn't happen. It's probably 2% of what it looks like in the United States of America. What happens is they are Romeo'd, finessed, coerced. So this young girl that's never been told, I love you, that feels like she has no value, no worth, you know, Uncle Joe's been sexually abusing me since I've been 5, so somebody comes in and starts to abuse me physically. What difference does it make? This has been happening anyway. So all of these things lead to this man coming in and saying, I'm going to take care of you. I love you. You have value in my eyes. Look at your mom. She's not there. She's not there for you. Your dad's not around. I'll take care of you. What young girl is not going to believe that? I don't know too many who has those vulnerabilities, you know? If they don't have the vulnerabilities, if they have the support of a family, if they have the support of their church family, whatever, they're going to see their value. But there are a lot of young girls and young boys that feel that don't have that. And so they're very easily victimized, or can be. So that being said, with the traffickers and like what it doesn't look like. It doesn't look like snatch and grab. It's not the white van in the Target parking lot. That's not what trafficking looks like. The thing with that is if we think, this is the thing that we try to make sure we're making clear. If we think that's what it looks like, we're going to miss what it really is. So that's where that is. It's not, like I said, I'm not saying somebody can't snatch somebody, but they don't need to do that. Like I said, you could go to the mall and find a few girls. All you have to do is have a conversation with them, and they're just easily going to give you their phone number or their Facebook or Instagram because they don't know any different. You don't need to snatch and grab. You don't need to. All you have to do is just draw them in with a few kind words. So that being said, I do want to talk about some of the ways that you can kind of notice trafficking, what that might look like. You are going to, and Yvonne talked about it a little bit too, some of the indicators of control. So that can be something that is very evident. Like you can see a boyfriend that has a lot of control over this young girl, where he doesn't let her answer questions. She doesn't have any money on her. He has her cell phone. She kind of looks, I literally remember, seeing these things even when I was working at Pregnancy Choices. It just happened. You could see it. But that's not always what it looks like either. Trafficked victims are not locked in cages and not, where they can't get out of the house. They're in the line with you at Target, because this is not a physical control. This is an emotional and mental control. So he knows that if he sends her to the store to get whatever, she's going to come back, because where else is she going to go? He's going to find her. He's going to abuse her. He could hold her child over her head, her family over her head. He could be feeding her drugs. She's going to go back to get her next fix because he's given her higher doses of drugs to control her. It's all about control. It doesn't have to be a physical barrier only. So that's the other thing. You'll see those kinds of relationships with the controlling man or woman, but it isn't always that way either. It could be anybody walking down the street is a victim of somebody else's, somebody else is gaining off of them financially. So it doesn't always look like the big scary picture that we see on TV all the time. Suspicious behaviors, we talked about that a little bit. Physical indicators, tattoos, I've never seen a barcode. So, I mean, I don't know if back in the day they used to do barcodes. And I'm sure that they did. That's not what it looks like now. But tattoos are very common with women that are prostituting and that are being sold for sex. A lot of times their trafficker's name is tattooed on them. So I don't know what kind of jobs y'all do or whatever, but anybody in here work like at a hospital, hair salon, service industry? Yeah, so a perfect example is like somebody that's going in to get their nails done, you know, and a good way to kind of find out more information about is tattoos. Like everybody's got tattoos now. They love them, they show them off. It's like, yeah, look, I got them all up and down my arm. So a really cool way to like, you see somebody with a name like whatever, Joe. Oh, who's Joe? Oh, he's my boyfriend. Oh, that's awesome. How long have you guys been together? Oh, you know, we've been together for a year, so that's great. So how old is Joe? He's 42. She's like 21. That's a big red flag right there. Oh, that's cool. You know, so even in general conversation, like you can notice and see things that are like little red flags. We're not going to go in, we're not going to rescue her, and we're not going to call 911 because we think Joe's a trafficker because we have no idea if he is or not. But there are things to look for in the general population, odd activity, odd conversations that we're hearing, the indicators of like the tattoos, bruising, physical types of abuse that you may or may not see on the body. So let's kind of focus this on the younger populations. Most of you here have kids that are like high school and middle school? Most of you? Yeah, okay. I do want to talk about the social media and that whole aspect. So I like to go a couple different ways with this. Social media is a thing. It's our way of socializing nowadays. It's our way of connecting, and it's like that with our kids too. Like they're designed to build community, are they not? Facebook. I talk to people that I haven't seen in 15 years, but I keep up with what's going on in their lives because I'm on Facebook with them, right? And so you can connect, Instagram, Snapchat, all of that stuff. Well, our kids, like you had said, they're growing up in this culture where they don't know anything else besides that. They don't remember like writing letters to a friend or just making a phone call. Like, what's that? So it's all about connecting on social media. Now, obviously, as a parent, the longer you put that stuff off, the better. The longer you put it off, the better. I'm not saying it's all evil, but what happens is that those that want to take advantage of other people use social media to watch for vulnerabilities. So again, we're going back to that vulnerable person, okay? A girl that's posting things like, my life stinks, my parents are this or whatever, and they pose as another 13-year-old girl or boy, and you can just start having conversations, and before you know it, hey, let's get together, let's meet. I mean, and traffickers are master manipulators. They're wise and they're cunning, and they know how to, work they know how to work to entice people in. They're fantastic at reading the minds, and they can spot somebody a mile away. I remember one time I was at the bus station, we were waiting for a girl to come in. We were bringing her to the safe house, and there was this guy. I was like, oh my gosh, he's got to be a trafficker. Like, he literally was standing there like this, watching the women. I saw him watching, and a lot of people, when they come out of jail and they have no place to go, they're taking a bus someplace. We had somebody at the safe house that's how she got picked up by her most recent trafficker. He saw her jail shoes, and he knew exactly she had just gotten out of jail. And he says, hey, I got a place to live. If you don't have a place to live, you can come live at my place. She went and she was literally held in his basement for 6 months until she was able to get away. I mean, so there are people out there looking and watching, okay? So let me get back to social media. Number one, like I said before, please hold off as long as you possibly can with that. All social media is not horrible. Facebook's not horrible, neither is Instagram or Snapchat, okay? But the thing with our kids is they don't understand how dangerous that it can be. And that's where it comes back to parents, grandparents, people of positive influence in our kids' lives, whether it's their Sunday school teacher, church, whatever. Please be watchful. Please know who they're talking to on their computer, on the Instagram and on the Facebook. And just so you know, anybody can do this. Oh, Mom, look, I've got an Instagram. Maybe you've allowed the Instagram. Like they're at 13 or 14, you're saying, okay, we can have an Instagram. Now there's a thing called Finstagram. It's a fake Instagram. So they've got this great one. Oh, Mom, look, Mom, this is all great, all my friends. They've got another Instagram account that you're not a part of, that is private, and who knows who they could be talking to. Okay, these are all scary things, and it freaks us all out, but this is just a reality. So what's the bottom line? Going back to watch your kids, communicate with your kids, be present, build community around your kids too, because I know with my kids, when they got to be a certain age, it was like, Mom knows nothing. She knows nothing. Everybody on the planet knows more than Mom, right? But my kids, my daughters were really close to my sister. And so they talked to her about a couple things before they would talk to me. And I was okay with that because I got it. I got the fact that they were afraid to talk to Mom. Mom's corny, shit, whatever. So I trusted my sister. So people that you trust, put those people in your kids' lives. If you are a single mom, find some positive male influences in their lives. If you're a single dad, find some positive female influences in your kids' lives. Get them involved in a youth group, whatever, because they need to have healthy, strong community around them. We can't do this by ourselves. We need to be aware, but we all need to work together to make this work, okay? So my bottom line with this is not to like scare everybody, but it kind of is. So, I'll just be honest, it kind of is. Keep the lines of communication open with your kids. I would set parameters or controls on their phones. Don't let them get onto things that they can't get onto. You can't control what's going on at their friend's house either, but you can also check up. You can also be real careful about who they spend their time with. And it's okay to check up with other parents and make sure that your values and their values match up. My sister has, her daughter is the oldest, but her best friend is the youngest in her family. Yeah, you go where I'm going with that? So, my niece is kind of like, she's a little naive, but her friend has got older siblings that have been around the block a couple times, and so she's going to know a little bit more about stuff than my naive niece, And those are all things that are just a fact of life, right? So I think what I want you to be aware of is that the more you build relationship with your kids, the less chance they have of becoming a victim of somebody that wants to take advantage of them. And maybe you have vulnerabilities in your life. I have vulnerabilities. I grew up with vulnerabilities. And I praise God that I wasn't a victim of something like this. I easily could have been. Maybe you have those in your life. Maybe your kids do and your grandkids do too. It doesn't mean they're going to end up being a victim of human trafficking. But please give them what they need. Every single person that ends up being victimized needs to know they have value and they need to know they have worth. A foundational thing that every person on this planet needs. And you can be that person in that kid's life. You can be that person in your kid's life, your grandkid's life, and their friend's life. If you're a Sunday school teacher, in those kids' lives, that's where human trafficking can stop. We started addressing the vulnerabilities. We started having relationship with these kids who maybe don't get to have a two-parent home or don't have it like we have it. You can change the whole trajectory of their life just by being engaging and caring. So that's the encouragement that I want to give you with that. But also to let you know that I'm going to get a little bit real here. There's a study that was done. The Ohio Attorney General, by the way, David Yost, is a huge proponent of helping to fight human trafficking, and he's actually been to Rehab, and he's an absolutely amazing. Anyhow, I forget when the study came. It was in 2018. So the Attorney General's office did a study, social media and sex trafficking process, from connection and recruitment to sales. So anyhow, they did all these statistics. They asked all the participants that they interviewed were either members of law enforcement, judges, direct service providers, advocates, and researchers that had engaged victims that were trafficked online, okay? So these are the people that have worked with the victims of like online trafficking. Here were some of the findings. So the access and the ability to connect to more vulnerable youth online. So social media allows a trafficker to reach out to as many people as they can. So that's the ease on their part is they can get online and they can be talking to, who knows how many kids online. So social media for the trafficker, for the exploiter, is an easy tool, okay? It still happens that high schoolers, college students are groomed to recruit in schools as well. That is happening. Peer-to-peer trafficking is on the rise. So, and if you could think about it, it might be hard to visualize this, but a recruiter, somebody that's recruiting their friends in, is also being victimized by somebody that's controlling them. But that is happening too. It is happening. Social media, they can do more. They don't even have to ever face this victim. Everything can happen without even meeting them face to face. So they were able to connect with more people at one time. So there's an ease of assessing vulnerabilities online. They can, even online, the things we put on Facebook, you probably can think of some friends that are constantly putting things on that you're like, wow, they're really wanting to get a lot of attention here. Really? I can think of some. Others that rarely post, and others are like, wow, they're posting a lot. They're posting how they're suffering, this, that, and the other. Well, somebody that wants to exploit somebody, who are they going to go after? They're going to befriend that person, right? It makes sense. Online grooming. So this is what this looks like. The emotion, here's the need. Here's the need of the person. They need understanding. So what it might look like online is, nobody gets me. You don't really know me. So the trafficker's strategic response, I understand you. Now, trafficker repellent, which I love that, is if they have that sense of self, they're going to say, some people do understand me, right? But that vulnerable person is going to say, nobody gets me. You don't really know me. He's like, oh, I know. I want to know you better. I like you. Maybe the need is fear. And so they might post online, I need to get out of here. Somebody save me. The trafficker, I'll protect you. Maybe confidence. Maybe the need is confidence. But the message is, I don't know what to do. Is this right? I don't know who I am. The trafficker's response, trust in me. I'll take care of you. That's what it looks like. How many posts do we see like that all the time? So social media apps help to mask traditional cues that alert individuals to a potentially dangerous person and enables quicker relationships. So that is, I think, as a parent, I would be really mindful in setting some kind of like parameter and guidelines on how your child uses social media, because the relationship can begin like that. And I don't know how many of you have heard young people say, my boyfriend, we know each other really well. How long have you known him? 2 weeks? Like, they literally think it's they think it's a long time. 2 weeks. I don't even know somebody's middle name until 3 years, so I don't get it. But they literally think it's a long time, because what are they doing? They're texting and they're talking on the hours upon end. They think they know them. They think they know them. So it doesn't take long for them to get connected to somebody. And there's the developing a second persona. I'm sure you guys have all heard that, where many people are just pretending like there's somebody else. There are people in law enforcement that do that to catch buyers. So thank goodness for that, because that's how a lot of buyers, those that are buying sex with kids, that's how they're being caught. Police officers are posing as a 13-year-old girl or boy, and somebody's paying to have sex with that child, and they get in trouble. By the way, John's buyers, the average buyer is a middle-aged white male that is married and has a couple kids. Like, that's who's buying sex. That's the majority. Moving from online to in-person. The transition from messaging to meeting a trafficker in person is becoming less prevalent as technology is playing a larger role in trafficking. This allows some traffickers to be able to exploit youth without meeting face to face. And why do you think that is? Anybody have any idea? Right. That's, yeah, they can, right, not initially. I mean, but if you're asking your girlfriend to send you pictures of herself with no clothes on, or videos, so he's selling that. Yeah, he's selling it on the web. There was just something in the paper not too long ago about somebody that tried to have her video. She was actually sexually assaulted, and it was posted on a site, and somebody was making money off of that. She finally she called and tried to get it removed. They wouldn't remove it. She had to get an attorney. People are making money off of that. And we have had numerous girls at the Safe House that, because they've been drugged and raped while they were not coherent and videotaped then, and those are being sold. So this is what this looks like. It doesn't have to be a willing participant at all. You don't even have to know what's happening. Somebody's videotaping you, taking advantage of the situation that you're in and selling that. Okay, so I'm just going to give you this real quick here. Commonly used sites: Facebook and Instagram and Snapchat. So those are view and comment sites, right? Conversational sites are Tinder, Blender, WhatsApp, and Kik. K-I-K. Webcam sites: Chat Roulette. I don't even know what this one is. O-M-E-G-L-E. It's a webcam. Those are webcam sites, so that's on the rise as well. Advertising and sales sites: seekingarrangement.com, Bedpage, Skip the Games. As an escort site, we actually we work with the Mahoning County Human Trafficking Task Force, and we've had a few girls come from the Safe House where they do a sting and they arrest these people. They get girls and they need places to go. And that's one of the sites that a lot of these girls advertise on, is that. And it used to be the one that was just shut down. back page, and I think it opened back up again, but Skip the Games is the one that's the most common now. So those are like the most commonly used apps and social media. One thing I want to get back to. How do we make a difference is always the big question, because we have these discussions about how horrible human trafficking is, and we leave with this big heavy dread because it's more pervasive than we think it is. It's happening in our neighborhoods. So it doesn't happen in big cities. It doesn't happen, it happens in big cities. It doesn't just happen in big cities. It happens in neighborhoods because you need three things for that to happen. You need a vulnerable person, you need an exploiter, and you need a buyer. That can happen in any home, in any neighborhood, in any city. And it does. And it doesn't look like, it happens on all socioeconomic levels too. I know of a survivor that was in a middle-class family that was on the volleyball team of her freshman year of high school, and her brother was her trafficker. And he would take her to a local hotel, and he would sell her, and he would take her to the high school for practice. And this is what's happening. It's not, people are going on with their lives, and this is still happening. They're functioning. Now, there were big red flags, and a teacher is actually the one that caught this, because home was such a horrible place for her to be that she would, as soon as the school doors were open, she was there. She would go in really early, and she goes, at one time, she goes, I just kind of lost it. I was sitting under my teacher's desk, and so she just had a lot of behavior that was odd. And then finally, somebody just engaged in her in conversation, and she told them what was happening. Fortunately, she did. A lot of women are so victimized and have so many things held over them that they're fearful to speak, or he really does love me. He takes care of me. Yeah, he might beat me, but he's not as bad as the other guy that I had. And so the cycle of abuse continues to go on until they're ready, until they're done, until they're tired of living that life. Then they get to come to the safe house and live and go through therapy and healing and trauma therapy and all that. So I get the awesome pleasure of watching women. They can come and stay as long as they want to. Some come for a few days and are like, I'm peacing out. Healing's too hard. I want to numb. I'm not ready to not numb yet. But there are some that are like, I'm tired of living like this, and I want a better life. I want my kids back in my lives again. I want to get my GED. So they come and they live there, and we address all of their, they get trauma therapy, so the best trauma team in the area. Their mental health needs are met. Their literal medical, all medical, dental, anything you can imagine is met. They have to do IOP, which is the drug and alcohol component. They live in the house for as long as they want to. They can get a job after a while. And we see transformation. We're a Christian organization. They don't have to be Christians to come there. But what we do is we show them Jesus with skin on. And so we use words. We do Bible studies. We do devotion in the morning. We go to church. But they have to see that people care, no matter what they did, that people care, because that's what Jesus would do. And that's what all of us can do. All of us can do that. In our circle of influence, we can be the one that cares and makes a difference in somebody's life. And just show them the love of Christ, right? So just to recap, remember that people have vulnerabilities that we don't know anything about, maybe. Maybe we do, maybe we don't. But maybe you'll have like a little bit more of a watchful eye now. And when you notice your daughter's friend that seems to be super shy or just whatever, you might just see some little red flags. Maybe just being that parent that to befriend her, like, hey, come over for snack, come over, you want to hang out. Just a stable place for her to be, a stable place for her to go. It might just make a big difference in her life. You might be the person she would talk to someday. So just remember that there are a lot of people out there that have those vulnerabilities. So be watchful, open communication. Talk to your kids. Watch what they're doing. Question who their friends are. Question what they're doing on social media. Check up on them when they say they're one place. Make sure they're there. Experience talking about that one. And relationship. That is the key ingredient to our women healing, is relationship. That is what they were looking for initially, right? Isn't that what we're all looking for? Someone to love us for who we are, and then all this crap happens to them their whole life, and they feel like garbage, and they start to learn that Jesus loves them no matter what, and that people actually look at me and they don't judge me. And wow, she knows what I did and all this, but she still looks at me and smiles at me. That makes a difference in people's lives. And it gives them enough hope to go on and make a difference for their life, which then ripple effects to their kids, right? And to their circle of influence. So there's hope. There's always hope in Jesus every single time. So, ta-da, that's it. Thank you so much. So, I don't know if you guys have any questions or,
We have about 15 minutes. I want to respect your time tonight. Does anybody have any questions for either Yvonne or Elaine? Yeah.
How big of a problem is the trafficking in Sargai?
It's really hard to put numbers on it because it's a sneaky kind of a crime, right? So if it can happen in any neighborhood, in any home, and if victims aren't speaking because they're either too afraid or they didn't even realize what's happening to them, there's no way to count that. We do know that there's a lot of trafficking going on. There's a lot of strip clubs, there's a lot of street level prostitution, and they're most of the time being controlled by other people.
And the other thing I'd ask is, if this is going on, somebody has to know. If the victims are not telling you, the police authority knowing who certain people are, that they watch.
Yeah, sometimes police are very aware. The problem is if the victim doesn't say she's being held against her will, there isn't anything they can do about it. And they're afraid. They're afraid. And maybe he's the reason why she's got a roof over her head. I mean, that's really common. I need a place for my kids and I to live. And he's paying my rent. Well, yeah, he sells me too, but I don't have any other way to support myself. Or, I mean, it's just so varied. But it's happening in Stark County. It's happening in Massillon. It's happening everywhere. I can't say how prevalent it is. It's just too hard to know. It's too hard to know.
They just had a big bust here a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
And got 14 individuals doing this, unfortunately, a new one.
Yeah.
And, I feel very sorry for his wife and adult children. They're devastated.
Right.
He won't answer any text to friends that are reaching out to him and stuff. I'm not feeling sorry for him yet. I'm pretty upset with it. And, he says he's sorry, he's only sorry because he got caught. They're doing it. How many times did you do this and didn't get caught?
The thing to remember, it took me a long time to get here, okay? Because when I'm working with women that have been abused for so long, I want to be angry at somebody, right? It took me a long time to get here. But, and even as a ministry, we have been having this conversation, the buyers are sexually broken too. As hard as that is to wrap our heads around, it's a sin problem. Bottom line, it's a sin problem, right? And it's so hard because now the wife and the kids and the people know but it's a sin problem. And the traffickers, as horrible as some of them are, I just want to like wring their necks. It's a sin problem. Like, where do you go in your head that you think it's okay to sell human beings? I can't comprehend that. And it's evil. But it's a sin problem. And we fight our battles where? In the heavenly realm every time. Yeah. But I get that. I get that. It's hard. It's hard.
I know for all you that have young children, boy, just like they say, keep the communications open because even though they say mom's a nag or dad's a jerk, they're going to come around to it. I know I have adult children now that they come around to me and say, well, when you did this to me, it's all coming around.
Yeah. They
I
can't
say,
get it
yeah.
until they,
You know,
yes.
I did it too.
But just like Yvonne said, I'm not your friend. I'm your parent.
Oh, yeah, right.
You know, and that's true. You need to be the parent.
Yeah,
you need to
I've
be
always told
watchful
them,
eye.
go find a friend, but I'm your dad.
Yeah.
I'm not your friend. You can come to me for anything. I'll back you up.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say, oh, that's okay, go ahead.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Yes. Oh. Oh, yeah. Sorry. I have this big booming voice, at least I thought so.
I teach in a high school. I'm just wondering, does your ministry come and do like presentations? I know that the
Yes.
sold out comes into the schools, but I think the kids are not aware. One of my students said that she was working at Acme and someone was taking pictures of her. And she didn't see one of the boys got on it right away and told her about an app that's called, oh shoot, I'm gonna get it wrong. We actually made a promo for it because I loved it so much. Oh Lord, I can't remember the name of the app, but it's basically when she walks out to her car, she holds in the button, and when she gets to her car and she's safe, there's a code she can, and she don't want to spend the $4 a month for this it's night something, some kind of app for her phone. Okay. And we looked at her and she's so pretty, and I said, don't you think you're worth $4? And she didn't see it, and I said, you either find someone to walk you out to school, but these girls are so stinking naive, and they're so cute, and they don't dress to hide much, and so like, I just, can you come into the schools and just, I think they're so, I teach in suburbia, they're so oblivious.
Oh yeah, Rehab does do that. They go into the schools. We have a team that does that. So if you just call our main office, just go to the Rehab website. And if you want anybody wants a speaker to come to speak at a school or any kind of function, we have people that do that. So
okay,
yeah.
And you're allowed in public school?
Oh yeah.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just a question.
Yeah.
Twice in 1 week, I heard young people talk about a website called TikTok. Are you familiar?
Yes. Yes.
I said, yeah, I don't know anything about it, but
Yeah.
it didn't sound like it was.
Well, I heard, actually it was my boss that did a presentation. She mentioned TikTok. I'm like, TikTok too? Like, yeah, I didn't even think it was bad. And then I read up on it a little bit more. So, and it's for me, it's a relatively new, like my granddaughter, my niece, they do all these little dances. It's so fun. But I guess people can post and repost. So anybody can get on anything and just watch people. You see kids consistently putting videos on. It's always that somebody that's watching what people are posting. Even in an app like that. So that's the thing.
Is that how the connections are made? So somebody posts something, a kid posts something, then can somebody else pick up their post and make a connection with that kid? That's what is confusing to me, how these connections are made.
Well, I think I understand the question. I think that, so you're saying, like, how do they find out who that kid is?
Yeah.
Or how does a trafficker or a predator or whatever look?
Can they just get anybody, or do they have to have a personal connection through a friend?
Oh, no.
Right.
No, like, social media is just this public thing. So I can search anybody and get on their Facebook page and just have a conversation with them. Yeah, anybody can do that.
Some of it, I can speak on that, I teach in high school as well. And to couple with what Katie was saying, a lot of students are naive to what they're putting online, how they're putting it online, and who's observing it. So
Yes.
I have a number of students that, like you mentioned earlier, well, I've got a boyfriend, we've been hanging out for 2 weeks, I trust him.
Yes.
So I'm gonna send him this fun, and that fun ends up being something that everybody gets, and now
Yes.
that student gets crushed, like very, very mentally crushed, which is a lot of the insecurities that we're seeing now. But it starts with the naivety, being naive and thinking that I can trust this person.
Yes.
A lot of the apps are only a few seconds. You can send something and think to yourselves, well, I sent it, but it's gone forever, now nobody's going to see it. Well, you can capture it, you can duplicate it, you can send it. So anything that you're sending, these students need to realize that that's important to recognize. I know 3 years ago, there were apps out there that were asking you to put simple things like your social security number in. And, I had students in my classroom, like, they were saying, yeah, I did that last week, and
Oh,
3
my
students
gosh.
look at him and about smack him on the back of the head, like, why, they don't understand the importance of privacy, they don't understand the importance of not trusting immediately. I think a lot of students are quick to trust, especially if, as you mentioned earlier, they're not receiving it in other venues. And then suddenly this person's coming along and promising the moon, and they'll do that.
And you think too about like even just developmentally, their brains aren't even fully, they don't even have the capacity to grasp all of this. I used to love to tell my son, like, you only have half a brain. You don't know what this means, but we would joke about it, but it was true, right? Like, they can't quite grasp how serious, like, oh, I'm sending that picture to my friend, not realizing that it could be everywhere.
They're
I don't know.
unfortunately extremely desensitized to what.
Yes, I agree.
So we pulled up the top, this was 2 years ago, what was the Imagine Dragons song? Thunder came out. Thunder.
Oh, yeah.
Thunder was an Imagine Dragons song. It was the only song in the top 40 that my kids could listen to. Because the rest of them were about butts and drugs. And
Yep.
it was a really crummy sign of our culture when it's all about butts and singing and this and that.
Yep.
And our students are looking at it saying, okay, this is socially acceptable at age 11 and 12. If I can listen to it, and my folks are listening to it, my neighbors are listening to it, my
Yes.
uncle's listening to it, I can jump on that bandwagon and I'm big and tall now, so I can partake.
Yep.
And the desensitization is something that I've noticed. Another really, really big factor that I've been struggling with as an educator is indifference. A lot of students that don't care.
Yes.
And they don't look at consequences, ramifications, or accountability past 5 minutes in front of them. There is a growing need to know what's happening in other classrooms, in other parts of the building, other parts of the county. And so, as you mentioned, they'll flip through endless streams of nonsense, flashing by it, not really even comprehending what they're seeing. And they'll pause, and they'll go, and they'll pause and go. And going several hours without having access to that. There's kids that experience psychological, they're in need of it. And
Yes.
it's an addiction.
Yes.
It's a drug. And it's something that I don't feel, and I could talk about this for hours, I need to not do that. But I don't feel that parents are knowledgeable of it, and I think it's a pacifier. And I think that there's a number of people that are quick to say, my kid will be fine, I was fine. But it's changing so fast.
It's a different world we're living in, isn't it?
That they're allowing their students and their kids to do things they shouldn't. So take this.
Yep. Yep. That's so true. All of it.
The name of the app is Noonlight. I don't know. So my kids actually did a PSA on it because this girl scared him so bad. His dad's a police officer. So it's an app that you can buy. It's like $3.99 a month. And when you go someplace, you open up the app and you put your thumb on your phone. And then when you release your thumb, if it doesn't go within, if you don't enter this code within a minute, your location is shared and the police are called. When you get in your car, you put in a code that you know, or when you're in a safe place, you put in a code and the app goes off. But what scared me was this girl didn't think she was worth that $3.99 a month. So we made a PSA because I do the video production at our school, and you scare me, then I just find a way to work around it. So we put it out for all the kids to know about what it does. But so there's things, as scary as social media is, there's also great things that keep them safe. And so we need to celebrate the things that are keeping our kids safe too. So, you know, Noon Light is the name of the app. If you have you know, I worked fast food and had to walk out at night by myself. So it's worth looking into that app. Tori's at OU and she's walking around. You know, they have campus security, which is a joke when they come. They're like, I'm like, you're smaller than me. How am I gonna, you know, you know, an app like this, you just gotta go looking. The kids are, but they're not looking for stuff like this. That's our job. So I just wanted to share that.
Thank you.
That would keep people
I'm
safe.
gonna look that up.
Anybody else?
One thing that I found in just my time at PC and learning about STDs really is, and you know, that's something as parents we need to be educated about it, is the fact that they don't have to have sex. You know, because of the 25, 30 different kinds out there, just by kissing, skin-to-skin contact, you know, they can catch them. So if you don't know that, read up on that, because it's something that you need to let your kids know. Oh, I don't need to worry about it, I'm not having sex. Well, you can still, there's still types out there that they can catch. Anybody else have any questions about anything? Tonight was a heavy night. It was, we covered some heavy stuff. So thank you to each and every one of you for making a point to come. Did you learn something new? Learn something new, great. Yeah, if we can just, again, it was just education that I wanted to share with you guys that I learned. Things are changing so rapidly, especially with technology. I'm having a hard time keeping up with. Thank goodness for Sam, he's in the schools and he knows a lot more than I do even, but it's just, it's changing so fast. And I think it's gonna get faster. You've really gotta, you know, we all need to keep up on it. It's difficult, so. Thank you. Let me close this in prayer. Respect your time, and then we'll leave for the evening, okay? Okay, all right. Heavenly Father, I thank you for just bringing us together tonight. And Lord, I thank you for Yvonne and Elaine for being willing to share and giving up their time and just to educate us. Lord, we are, it's just difficult parenting, and we need you more than ever. So we just, we pray that, just help us to turn to you every day and keeping lines of communication open, showering our kids with love, showering them with, giving them the self-confidence, being confident, and but just protecting them as well. And I pray that they are able to come to us and that we are able to form communities around them. If they're not comfortable to come to mom and dad to talk about things, give us guidance as parents, as grandparents, to form communities around these kids so that if they don't feel comfortable to come to us, that they feel comfortable to come to other people. And just continue to, Lord, just guide us, guide us, guide us, guide us. And thank you for this time together, that we can come together and that we just can come together in your name, and help us to be in the world but not of it. And In Jesus' name, we thank you for all that you are and all that you do. In Jesus' name, amen. Books and the parent brochures. Come up and grab one. You're welcome to.